Over 300 years ago, Pú Songling published a book unlike any other, Strange Tales from a Chinese Studio, Liáozhāi Zhì Yì. It's a collection of stories people claimed were true, told by travelers, monks, and scholars across centuries. And the one we're about to hear may be the most haunting of them all. Let's begin. Li was a distant descendant of Confucius. From an early age, he studied the Confucian Analects, not for recognition, but to refine his heart. His neighbors said he spoke like a man twice his age, but those who listened more closely heard more stillness than sound. After being summoned by a dear friend to assist in a new magistrate post in Tiantai, he arrived to find the friend had died days earlier. No employment, no stipend, no one to even receive him at the gate. Too proud to beg, too broke to return home, he took refuge in a nearby Buddhist monastery, where he copied scrolls by lamplight in exchange for meals. To the west of the monastery, there was a house belonging to a Mr. Shan, a gentleman who had once lived comfortably, but after becoming entangled in a drawn-out lawsuit, he took his family and left for the countryside to focus entirely on the case. The house remained behind, shuttered, quiet, and seemingly empty. One afternoon, Kong wandered past the Shan house. As he passed the gate, a young man stepped out, tall, composed, and dressed with understated elegance. "You must be cold," he said, bowing low. "Come in, there's warmth inside." Kong hesitated, then stepped through the gate, drawn by the quiet warmth in the man's eyes and the stillness of the snow behind him. Inside, warmth gathered in the air, rising gently from the stone floor and clinging softly to the lacquered beams above. Scrolls of classic poetry hung on clean plaster walls. Carved chimes stirred in the rafters. A book lay open on the table titled Jottings from Paradise. They drank tea, talked easily. The young man introduced himself as Huang Jiulang and explained that his family had suffered a house fire and were staying here temporarily. When Kong spoke of his own misfortune of not having a job, Jiulang didn't pity him. He offered something better. "Teach me," he said. "Let me be your pupil." Kong murmured, but Jiulang insisted. "I don't need lessons for the imperial exam. I want to learn for the sake of learning." So Kong stayed. And every day, the lessons deepened. In the beginning, they read side by side. Kong with quiet patience, Jiulang with curious intensity. But soon, something more than instruction took root. Jiulang began to mirror Kong's turns of phrase. He started copying not just the characters, but the manner in which Kong held the brush, the way he placed the inkstone. He listened when Kong recited Confucian verse, then stayed silent for long moments afterward, as if to try to hold the echo inside himself. Kong too noticed, not the imitation, but the sincerity. Jiulang wasn't eager to impress, he was eager to understand. Some evenings they sat long past dusk, speaking not of lessons, but of virtue, of restraint, of what it meant to walk through the world carrying a quiet purpose. Once, Jiulang said softly, "If I had known you sooner, I think I would have lived differently." Kong didn't answer. He only refilled Jiulang's cup. The household included Jiulang's father, who moved with a dignified calm and spoke with few but well-chosen words. He treated Kong like family, offering him silk robes and slippers lined with wild hair fur, soft, dense, and stitched in a way only mountain villagers seemed to know. But one afternoon, a pain formed beneath Kong's ribs, a tightness no larger than a coin that deepened overnight into a swelling as large as a fist. Jiulang stayed by his side, kept him cool, prepared porridge, sat awake through the night. One morning, he said quietly, "My sister has returned. She might be able to help." Later that day, she arrived. Her name was Jiaoniang. She wore robes the color of smoke, her white sash brushing the floor as she moved. Her steps were silent. Her eyes caught the light and held it, alert and watchful, with a sharpness just beneath the calm. She walked to Kong's side and rested a hand on his wrist. Her touch was cold at first, then warm. She smiled faintly and said, "This can be treated, but not without effort." She removed a gold bracelet from her arm and pressed it over the swelling. With her other hand, she reached inside her robe and drew out a narrow blade, curved slightly, bone-handled, and held it steady. She cut in a slow, practiced circle. The dark blood ran thick across the mat. When the swelling was gone, she cleaned the wound with warm water. Then she brought a red pill from her mouth and pressed it into the center with her bare hand. Her touch was light, almost tender, and she moved in small, slow circles until the skin began to settle. Kong healed quickly. The next morning, he saw Jiaonyang walking through the courtyard garden. Her steps were light, measured. She wore shoes embroidered with phoenixes and carried a green silk parasol that caught the morning sun. Later that day, Jiaonyang approached him with a quiet smile. "My father has made a decision," he said. "He's grateful for everything you've done, for me, for our family. And he believes there's no better match for my sister." Kong's heart quickened. Jiaonyang continued, "If you're willing, he would like to arrange your marriage to Jiaonyang." Kong didn't answer right away, but that evening, as the lanterns were being lit, he found Jiaonyang beside the plum tree. She looked at him steadily, without shyness. He bowed, and she nodded. The wedding was simple, held under the eaves of the old hall. Red silk was tied to the rafters. Incense burned in quiet plumes. A low table was set with wine, fruit, and 2 cups. No guests beyond the family, but to Kong, it felt complete. Some weeks later, Jiaonyang came to him late one evening and said, "Word just came. Mr. Shan won the lawsuit. He and his family are returning to claim the house. They don't know we've been living here." Jiaonyang added, "We must leave before they arrive." Soon after, Kong went to bed, his hand resting lightly in Jiaonyang's. The room was still, and outside the snow had stopped falling. When he opened his eyes, the morning light was coming through the window of his mother's house. He was lying on the old woven mat he remembered from his childhood. Jiaonyang was beside him, already sitting up, smoothing her hair. Jiaonyang and his father-in-law were gone. His mother's voice called from the courtyard, trembling with surprise. "Kong, is that you?" She rushed in and stopped short at the sight of them. Her eyes moved from her son to the unfamiliar young woman at his side. Where did you come from?" Kong looked around. There was no sign of travel, no luggage, no horse, only the scent of snow in the air, and Jiaonyang quietly bowing to his mother. They began a new life, simple, honest, until the day Kong went riding and saw a traveler on a chestnut mare coming down the trail. It was Jiaonyang. They embraced, wept, sat under a tree and shared wine. That night, Jiaonyang told him they had left something behind at the Shan mansion, family belongings that should not fall into another's hands. "Just a few old scrolls and a wooden box with my father's seal," he said. "Come with me, it won't take long." The next day, they returned to the edge of the old Shan estate. Kong, Jiaonyang, and Jiaonyang, moving quietly beneath a sky the color of ash. The air smelled of pine smoke and damp earth. Jiaonyang's father was already there, waiting just beyond the outer gate. He stood in the shadows of the tall cypress tree, his hands folded behind his back, his eyes fixed on the house as if he had never truly left. No one spoke at first. Jiaonyang took Kong aside and handed him a sword. The blade was plain but balanced and worn smooth from long use. Kong looked down at it, confused. "What's this for?" Jiaonyang held his gaze. "There's something living inside the Shan estate. It has worn the family like clothing for generations. People think the Shan clan is cursed, but it's not a curse. It's a monster." Kong's brows furrowed. "A monster?" Jiaonyang nodded. "We call it a Wangliang, a spirit that feeds not just on life, but on presence, It attaches to families, controls them from within, and grows stronger with every generation. Kong gripped the sword tighter. Then why are we here? Jiulang's voice lowered. It hunts by scent. Once it catches the trace of something it wants, it doesn't forget. It waits. And when the chance comes, it moves quietly, patiently, until it gets what it's after. We stayed too long. Now it knows. Kong looked toward the courtyard, his expression still clouded. But why me? You're not meant to fight it, Jiulang said. Only to protect the threshold. Hold your ground. Keep anything from escaping or entering while we finish what must be done. Kong's thoughts swirled. He didn't understand, not fully, but he saw the fear behind Jiulang's calm, the urgency beneath his stillness. So he nodded. I'll stand where you tell me. I'll keep watch. Jiulang placed a hand on his shoulder. Stand at the entrance. Whatever happens inside, don't look back at us, not even once. Just face forward and hold the line until it's finished. Kong said nothing more. He stepped into place. The cypress branches swayed overhead. The wind turned. Then, from deep within the estate, a roar, not like a beast, but like a building groaning under its own weight. The doors of the hall burst open. Kong did not turn, but he heard it. The clash of limbs, the ripping of wood, the sharp shriek of something not human. Jiulang's voice rose, not in fear, but command. Then silence. The sound of claws against stone. Something slammed against the gate. Kong tightened his grip. He still did not turn. Behind him, Jiulang and his father had changed. Their limbs stretched longer, their backs arched. Fur burst from beneath their robes. Their eyes glowed like twin lanterns in the dark. Jiaonyang's sleeves shredded at the seams, her face lengthened, jaw narrowing. A white ruff of fur circled her neck. She moved without sound. The Wangliang emerged, hulking and hunched, its limbs too long for its body, joints bent the wrong way. Coarse black fur bristled down its spine, and its head hung low, jaws stretching unnaturally wide as it exhaled a growl that seemed to shake the ground beneath them. Its eyes burned white, not with light, but with hunger. It lunged. Kong turned. He ran straight at it. The sword found its mark, deep in the base of its neck. The Wangliang howled. Its limbs flailed. One struck Kong across the chest and hurled him against the stone wall. He didn't rise. Jiaonyang shrieked. She leapt across the courtyard. Jiulang and his father closed in from the sides, fur bristling, fangs bared. The creature collapsed, writhing into mist. Jiaonyang rushed to Kong's side. His chest was still, his skin already cold. She knelt, closed her eyes, and drew a second red pill from her mouth, larger, brighter, glowing with threads of light that pulsed between her fingers. She pressed it into Kong's mouth, leaned down, breathed into him. Then his chest shuddered. He opened his eyes. Jiaonyang slumped forward, barely catching herself. You used your essence, Jiulang whispered. His voice broke. She didn't answer. They returned home. Kong never asked the questions aloud. He didn't need to. He knew. Jiaonyang, Jiulang, their father. They were fox spirits. Spirits who usually fed on human essence, wearing lives like cloaks. But this time, they had not taken anything from Kong. They had given. Jiaonyang had married him, had borne his son, had twice saved his life, and the second time, it cost her everything. Foxes can live 1,000 years if they keep taking, but that pill, that essence, was her future, and she gave it up for him. After that, she no longer shimmered in the light, no longer floated when she walked. She tired more easily, grew quieter, but never complained. They raised their son together, a boy with sharp hearing and a habit of vanishing into the woods for hours. They lived and they loved, but they never spoke of that morning again. In Chinese lore, fox spirits are rarely kind. They seduce, they deceive, they drain men dry. But every rule has its exception. Something in Kong, his calm, his sincerity, the way he listened more than he spoke, changed the pattern. He wasn't taken, he was brought in. And it came at a price. Jiaonyang gave up her immortality to save him. She gave him her essence, the very thing foxes usually take. And for that, she could no longer feed, could no longer renew, could no longer live for forever. But she lived with him, and that perhaps is the greatest magic of all. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And until next time, 再见!